Full Swing Episode 2, titled Win or Go Home, proved to be an even hotter episode than the first one. In this episode, we get a glimpse into the world of two golfers, Brooks Koepka and Scottie Scheffler. The focus of this episode is on Kepka, who has been struggling with his career lately and is now being compared to Scheffler. We get to see the reasons behind Kepka's decision to switch to the Saudi-backed tour, and the struggles of the world number one at that time. The episode opens in Phoenix, with Kepka making his way through the tunnel into the chaos of number 16. In an interview, Kepka talks about the challenges of the game of golf and how he plans to dominate. However, in the very next moment, he expresses his regrets to NFL receiver Adam Thielen that he did not stick with baseball. Winning is an addiction, he says, but he has been unable to earn another win lately. This becomes the central theme of the episode, a golfer who does not want his victories to be confined to the past. A few years ago, Brooks Koepka was at the top of his game, having won several tournaments and securing 4 major wins in 3 years, including a second-place Masters finish. He had won more majors than Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, and every other golfer under the age of 52, except for Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Rory McIlroy. The American golfer seems to have taken a downward spiral to the point where he now whines and complains. The dyed blonde golfer has had to deal with multiple injuries in the last couple of years. However, the injuries haven't been as damaging as the mental barriers that he's dealing with. Kepka is navigating a difficult path after basking in the euphoria of a champion for a long time. We could literally imagine ourselves in his shoes when he tells his mother at one point in the episode that, "It's interesting how mental it is. Golf's a thing where you overthink it." Kepka goes on to say that, "Who's the best right now? Scottie Scheffler." I guarantee if you ask him what he's thinking about, he goes, "Nothing." Full Swing also gave lovers of golf the opportunity to look into the mind of the best golfer in the world at the moment, Scheffler. Scheffler rose to fame in early 2022 by rattling off 3 tournament wins and then earning the green jacket at the Masters. Scheffler talks about separating his work life and home life, about working as hard as he can and leaving the rest to God. Here, we see a more religious and spiritual side of the golf star, as he is captured reading his Bible. Kepka, on the other hand, doubts himself. "I can't compete with these guys week in, week out," he says at one point. And we all know how this ends. Kepka takes the offer from Liv. And this gives us a hint into why he did it. He has failed to get his mojo back, making it impossible for him to win tournaments again. And he feels like that is the end of what he wants his career to be. Liv, for all its moral issues, takes the pressure off of him and gives him a whole lot of money. One fact that every viewer will agree with is that Brooks desperately wants to reclaim his place as one of the top golfers at the Masters. The families of these superstars are not left out either. Kepka's wife, Jenna Sims, reveals that her husband is perpetually distracted by his failures on the course. He can't even focus on wedding details, which Jenna takes in stride. "This f***ing thing can consume you." A huge fee obviously came with joining Liv, and we get to look at the lavish lifestyle he and Jenna Sims live. Jenna reveals that they were now set to get married. The pair owns a custom-built mansion featuring 2 huge, symmetrical glass structures in Jupiter with an infinity pool overlooking the water upon which their boat sits at the end of a wooden pier. It's exactly the sort of house you'd imagine a famous sports star who has won over $37 million on the PGA Tour would live in, but seeing it is still quite something. Although he has lots of money, a beautiful house and a beautiful wife, it's obvious that he is not happy. The man wants to win. He would give up all the money he won just to taste that feeling again for 10 minutes, he says. What a quote. Golf's so crazy because when you have it, you feel like you're never going to lose it. And when you don't have it, you feel like you're never going to get it. He says, overlaid with him missing putt after putt on the practice green at Medalist, just after he claimed he was probably the worst in the world from 8 foot after once being the best. We also get to see a clip of him putting balls on his carpet up to a bottle of red wine, being monitored by a coach and some very high-tech putting software. Putting on your carpet to a wine bottle is something a lot of golfers have probably done once or twice. And hilariously, it seems that Brooks Koepka does it too. Meanwhile, in Texas, we also see Scheffler and his family. Scheffler is the kind of guy who keeps things in perspective. His wife Meredith provides a down-home contrast to the glitz and glamour of Jenna. Scheffler is smart enough to know that even if he wins, he won't win forever. This episode gives us a different experience from episode 1. We can safely say that it contains all that was missing in the first episode. There's also the tendency for people to have a negative impression about Brooks after watching this episode. But did Full Swing really give the right picture of what his life is like on a day-to-day basis? Full Swing gave us the idea that Brooks has a feeling of entitlement. He wants to be another Jordan or Tiger Woods. Brooks' decision to go to LIV comes off as an act of submission. At one point, Kepka actually looked like he was surrendering, which shows how his mental health was deteriorating as time went by. It's really important to remember that Kepka was never the better golfer when he was young. He was never a JT or Jordan Spieth, but hard work was always what kept him moving forward. His mental strength was out of this world, but not anymore. He looked like he'd given up. However, he deserves some accolades for opening up to the cameras and admitting his feelings. This is not something that all stars would agree to do, and without it, this episode wouldn't have been that intriguing. Unlike the kind of contrast that we saw in episode 1, the Koepka-Scheffler contrast felt more original. One guy goes up, another man goes down. And with Phoenix and Augusta as the centerpieces, this is a great portrayal of the circle of life on the PGA Tour. The best moment of this episode came on Masters Sunday, when Ted Scott gave some advice to Scheffler before the biggest day of his professional life. You've done this before, and you're not alone because God is in control of everything. This advice was all that Scheffler needed to help him win the task ahead. It showed that their faith is about more than golf, and it was a good window into the prevalence of religion in sports, knowing that something bigger is on your side and it's not just you against the abyss. Meanwhile, Kepka asserts that he'd give up all his trophies, all his money, just to feel the rush of contention at a major for an hour. That felt totally honest. He took the cash grab at the end, but only because he judged that at age 32, the competitive rush was behind him. For true competitors, that's all that really matters. We saw something similar to this in episode 1, when Justin Thomas lamented how quickly his own moments in the PGA passed by him. A rare smile comes at the end of the episode when asked about LIV Golf. Has he given it any thought? A smile and a wink follow, before some excellent footage of what's set to come in the remaining Full Swing episodes. Kepka famously said some guys would sell out and join LIV, and then did it himself, with he and brother Chase now signed up to the Saudi-backed series that has turned the game upside down. The 39-minute episode reminds us of just how great he once was, and also probably explains why he joined LIV Golf. He clearly needed a change of scenery, and just something different to get his confidence and mojo back. Do you think Kepka will ever go back to the peak of the sport again? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video.